Is my marriage over? 31M 29F. My wife and I have been together for about 6 years and married for over 2 years. With that, we have an amazing 2-year-old son. Since our son was born, we hardly ever speak to one another. All texting has stopped. Dinners are quiet. Never talk on the phone. No matter how many topics of conversation I bring up, she hardly responds. Only 1 or 2 word replies. We never do anything fun together. Even when the grandparents have our son for the weekend, she doesn't want to do anything. Whenever I try to flirt, she tells me to grow up and we're not kids anymore. I hug her from behind around the house and she pushes me off. We've had sex about 5 times within these 2 years, and honestly, I basically had to beg for it. I expressed my frustrations to her a couple months ago. I asked why and if there's something I can do. Maybe it's something I did and I can address it. I really don't know. She walked away without saying a word. My breaking point was this past week. We went out to lunch. Sat down and she didn't say a single word. I winked at her and told her she looks good today. She called me disgusting and requested the food to change as a to-go order because she couldn't stand that I winked at her. I'm at a loss and don't know what to do. I've suggested marriage counseling, but she said absolutely not. I feel so bad for my son. I don't want him to grow up without both parents being present. We've worked our asses off to earn a beautiful forever home and don't lack for anything financially. I don't want to ruin anything outside of our marriage. Something is very wrong with your wife. I wonder if she developed depression or PPD after the birth of your son, and without treatment, it hasn't gone away. She doesn't want you to touch you and finds you disgusting for winking at her and telling her she looked good. She doesn't want sex. None of this is normal behavior. She needs to get therapy to find out what's wrong with her. You really can't go on in this marriage like this. You are basically roommates and that's not good. You are going to have to make it clear that she gets help because she isn't acting like a loving and caring wife, or the marriage will be over. Sadly, that seems to be where you are right now. I don't want him to grow up without both parents being present. Divorce doesn't mean he loses a parent, and even if it did, he'd grow up a lot happier with one parent who loved him rather than in a home where one of his parents is actively disgusted by the other. It's important to do what's good for your son, but doing it at the detriment of yourself will hurt him in the long run. Sounds like it could be postpartum depression. At least that should be ruled out first. If everything was great until you had your son. This sounds like an extremely difficult situation, and I'm really sorry that you're dealing with this. I don't know if this relationship is salvageable, but I would recommend, for now, at least, that you stop flirting and stop initiating physical contact with her that she clearly does not welcome. If she is depressed and there is something to save here, hugs and flirting that she has made clear she does not want may sour her on those forever by building negative associations. I've had partners who touched me when it was not welcome, and even when I wanted to make the relationship work, it was impossible to get past the self-protective impulse to pull away from touch that I had started to associate with someone violating my consent. In the absence of any information from her as to what is going on, you really only have 2 choices: force the issue or try your best to ignore it. As someone else here said, just asking a simple question, "Do you still love me?" is a good one to go with. However, I'd be more inclined to get straight to the point and ask the obvious one: do you still want to be married to me, or do you just want me to go? Quote, do not accept her walking away without responding as an answer, and even go to the extent of saying to her, if she does, that this is all the answer you need and you'll start speaking to lawyers tomorrow, as you can no longer live like this. As things stand, you can't keep living like this, and she is not going to offer any solutions or even hint at what is wrong. then your only recourse is to default to looking out for yourself and take action to keep you happy. Whether that happiness is found with her in your life or her out of it is something that you may have to seriously address. Wish I had the time to do the sort of research you, Ebby 45 does. Going off your comment, post history. I don't blame your wife. The marriage should be over. She deserves better. First, rule out anything medical like undiagnosed PPD. She sounds apathetic towards life, which is a huge flag for depression. Honestly, you may have to stage a bit of an intervention if she's refusing therapy already. If it's nothing medical, then honestly I usually never suggest going nuclear, but I'd demand marriage, counseling, or splitting up. Something is very broken here. You need a serious talk mate. It's not easy, but you need to firmly but fairly talk about this. Tell her exactly what you have said here. Hey, name. I need a serious chat with you and I would appreciate your attention. I feel you have been really off with me and done some cold things that have hurt me. Examples. They hurt me as I love you and it upsets me you doing these things. You have been really quiet with me and I feel there's very little effort coming from your end. If there is something I can do, I am listening now and need you to open up to me. Because this is really affecting me. We never have intimacy anymore and it's very important to me. And is affecting me greatly, all these things accumulating. Good luck. If she gives you cold-hearted answers etc., then you can potentially end things there or say, look, I am trying my hardest and you aren't. I cannot carry on with you like this. So what is your choice? You have to do the ultimatum, counseling or divorce. This is to a point of no return. Just ask her, do you still love me? And if she doesn't answer or avoids the question, you know the answer. Who does all the childcare? Cooking? Cleaning? I feel like we do not have enough information to give you advice. Is she depressed? Who does she talk to? Friends? Parents? Co-workers? Does she engage with your son? It took over 3 years for my wife to recover from severe postpartum depression. It wasn't that dissimilar, meds didn't seem to help, but counseling did a bit, and then one day it started getting better and better, and that was 5 years ago. It was a lot of loving the unlovely parts of her, but I stuck it out. I know the kind of situation you are in, but I certainly don't know exactly. I remember the bad months. The times I persevered against all odds, and Houndshay still weeps in thankfulness that I didn't stop loving her during the worst of it. I can't tell you what you need to do. And if she's struggling with depression, she probably can't tell you either, so take what advice you see on here. Find people to help support you and remember to take time to breathe when the walls start closing in. Big hugs up, people hugging. I know it is awful, but I hope you find a way through, Blue Heart. She checked out cause she deserves better, you colossal douchebag. Your child is better off being from a broken home than being in a broken home. You can't make it better by yourself. You cannot make her happy if she refuses to be happy. Do what you have to do. Get therapy for yourself even if she won't go. Contact a lawyer. Document everything. Good luck. Yikes. That's a dead relationship. Something happened. Sit her down and find out. She's staying for the kid. Hate to break it to ya, but it might be well passed over. I would say it's something related to PPD. But if she's refusing to seek therapy, then there's no fix. It's not gonna get better. It's only gonna get worse. Oof. This is PPD. Could also be PTSD from birth. I felt that the only time my husband looked at me or touched me at all was to initiate sex. It literally made my skin crawl. I felt abandoned and unloved and like he was just trying to get his dick wet. It wasn't until I sought treatment for my own mental health that my marriage could start healing. Your marriage sounds over. From her side, she doesn't act like she wants to be with you at all. If she won't go to counseling and won't talk to you, you should speak to a lawyer. As she is refusing marriage counseling, there's no other alternative except divorce. This isn't going to change because she doesn't want it to. My guess is that if she decided your son needs a little brother, sister, then she'd turn on the charm again. This isn't what you signed up for when you married her. To have a sexless marriage before you were 30. You and your wife are modeling behavior for your son. Being an adult, a spouse, a parent. As he grows and sees this, he will have a very warped idea of personal, sexual relationships. Please get out and find someone new. Having two parents in two different happy homes is much better for him than watching the dismissive, disgusted repulsion that your wife is showing. You and your son deserve better. Your wife does, too, but only she can be the architect of her better life. First off, you need to evaluate all medical reasons why she acts like this, such as PPD. Depression would explain a lot. After this is ruled out, you can try couples counseling and sex counseling. Because of you mentioning her being on her phone a lot, I also have to mention cheating as a possibility. If she shuts down the two first suggestions, cheating starts becoming a more likely option. I would start snooping if it reaches this point. Make sure that she understands that your relationship is on the line if she doesn't agree to the first two suggestions.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.